Captain Smith stood at the bridge of the Earth Defense Fleet flagship Guardian, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. The night shift was usually quiet, but today was different. His coffee cup stopped halfway to his lips as the emergency alert flashed across the main screen. "Sir, we're picking up an urgent transmission from Deep Space Probe DSP-247, announced Officer Pete, his fingers flying across the control panel. "It's marked as highest priority." Smith set down his cup, straightening his uniform. "Put it through, main screen." The holographic display flickered to life, showing a series of energy readings and biosignatures. At first glance, they looked like any other space station data, but something caught Smith's trained eye. Those biosignatures, they're human and small. "Confirmed, sir," Pete responded, his voice tight with concern. The signatures matched those of human children, ages ranging from approximately 8 to 16 years old. Location: Proxima Centauri system, specifically from what appears to be an educational facility called the Stellar Academy. Smith's jaw clenched. The Stellar Academy was supposed to be one of the most prestigious educational institutions in the galaxy, run by the Mentors, an alien species known for their advanced scientific knowledge. Earth had no registered exchange programs with them. None. "How many?" Smith asked, dreading the answer. "Initial scans indicate approximately 300 human children, sir." The bridge fell silent. 300 children, impossibly far from Earth, in an unauthorized facility. Smith's mind raced through the implications. This was no accident, no clerical error. This was something else entirely. "Get me a secure line to Earth Command. Priority 1, Smith ordered, his voice steady despite the anger building in his chest, "and prepare a detailed scan of the facility's security systems." As the communications officer worked to establish the connection, Smith studied the facility's layout on his personal display. The Stellar Academy was a massive structure, spanning several kilometers, with multiple levels both above and below the asteroid surface it was built into. The energy readings were odd, far too high for a simple school. "Sir," called out the sensor officer, "we're detecting unusual power fluctuations throughout the facility. They appear to be running some kind of tests." Smith's fists clenched behind his back. "Tests? On children?" The secure line crackled to life, and Admiral Baker's hologram appeared. "Captain Smith, this better be important." "Sir, we've discovered something that requires immediate attention." Smith transmitted the probe's data as he spoke. 300 human children are being held in what appears to be a research facility in the Proxima Centauri system. They're disguising it as a school. The Admiral's expression darkened as he reviewed the data. The Mentors. They'd gone too far this time. "Captain, I'm giving you full authority to investigate this situation. Use whatever resources you need, but be discreet. We don't want to trigger an interstellar incident. Yet." "Understood, sir. I'll assemble a team immediately." After the transmission ended, Smith turned to his crew. "Contact Commander Wells. Tell her to prepare her best infiltration team. And get me everything we have on the Mentor's security systems." As the bridge crew rushed to carry out his orders, Smith walked to the observation window, staring out at the distant stars. Somewhere out there, hundreds of human children were being held against their will, treated like lab rats by aliens who thought they could get away with it. His own daughter was 12, the same age as some of those children. "You picked the wrong species to mess with," he muttered, watching as the distant form of a stealth vessel began to power up in the docking bay. The Mentors thought they were conducting some kind of scientific study. They were about to learn a harsh lesson about humanity's response to those who threatened their children. The investigation was about to begin, and Captain Smith had a feeling the galaxy would never be the same after what they discovered. Commander Wells adjusted her stealth suit's camouflage settings as she led her 4-person team through the dark maintenance tunnels of the Stellar Academy. The air smelled strange here, too clean, too artificial. Their footsteps made no sound thanks to the sound-dampening technology in their boots. Motion sensors ahead, whispered Jack, her tech specialist, checking his wrist display. They're using triple redundant systems. These aliens really don't want anyone sneaking around. Wells held up her fist, signaling the team to stop. Can you loop the feed? Jack nodded, his fingers dancing across his holographic interface. Done. We have 8 minutes before the system runs its next integrity check. The team moved forward quickly, but carefully. Through the transparent sections of the tunnel walls, they could see laboratories and classrooms. Everything looked normal at first glance. Too normal. It was like someone had copied Earth school designs from old videos without understanding their purpose. They reached an observation deck overlooking what appeared to be a dormitory. Wells felt her blood run cold. Dozens of human children lay in pods that looked more like scientific equipment than beds. Each pod had multiple sensors attached to it, gathering data while the children slept. Recording everything, said Mary, their documentation specialist. The council won't be able to ignore this evidence. A door hissed open below them. 2 mentors walked in, tall, gray-skinned beings wearing long white coats. They moved from pod to pod, checking readings on their tablets. Fascinating results from today's stress tests, one mentor said to the other. The human children showed a 47% improvement in problem-solving speed under pressure. Their neuroplasticity is remarkable. Indeed, tomorrow will increase the difficulty. The Council will be pleased with our progress in understanding human adaptability. Wells gripped the railing tightly, forcing herself to remain still. These aliens were talking about traumatizing children like it was a simple science experiment. Commander, Jack whispered urgently, we've got movement in the East Corridor. Security patrol. Time to move, Wells ordered. We've seen enough for now. The team retreated carefully, making their way toward their extraction point. As they passed another classroom, a small face appeared in one of the windows. A human boy, no more than 10 years old, stared right at them despite their stealth technology. Instead of looking scared or surprised, the boy's face showed recognition. He held up a small paper note against the glass. We know you are coming. You ready? Wells blinked in surprise, but the boy was already gone, disappearing into the crowd of students as a mentor entered the classroom. Her team hadn't come just to observe. They were supposed to gather intelligence for a rescue mission. But it seemed the children were already organizing themselves. Back on their stealth shuttle, Wells immediately contacted Captain Smith. Sir, you need to see this footage. It's worse than we thought. They're running experiments on the children while they sleep. But there's something else. She transmitted the image of the boy's note. The kids know we're here. They've been waiting for us. Smith's hologram nodded grimly. The mentors think they're studying human adaptability. They're about to learn firsthand how adaptable humans can be, especially our children. Prepare your full report. I'm calling an emergency meeting with Earth Command. As Wells began compiling her findings, she thought about the boy's note. The children weren't just passive victims waiting to be rescued. They were actively resisting, organizing, preparing. The mentors had wanted to study human adaptability and resourcefulness. They were about to get a demonstration they hadn't planned for. The investigation was complete. Now it was time for action, and Earth would show the galaxy exactly what happened to those who dared to imprison human children. The head mentor paced in his private office, his gray skin turning slightly pale as he reviewed the latest test results. On the wall-sized screen before him, dozens of video feeds showed human children solving increasingly complex problems, working together in ways that defied all previous research. A soft chime announced the arrival of his chief scientist. Sir, we have a situation. What is it now? The head mentor asked, not turning away from the screens. The children, they're learning too fast. Look at this. The scientist pulled up new data on the screen. They're not just solving our tests. They're studying us. Every time we observe them, they're gathering information about our technology, our behavior patterns, our weaknesses. In one feed, A group of children appeared to be playing a simple ball game. But when the head mentor looked closer, he realized they were using the ball's movements to map the facility's gravity generators. In another feed, children taking notes in class were actually drawing detailed schematics of the building's layout. "Impossible," the head mentor whispered. "They're just children." An alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Red lights flashed as security systems detected multiple breaches. The head mentor rushed to his control panel, but nothing responded to his commands. "Sir," a security officer burst into the room. "We've lost control of the lower-level systems. Someone has accessed our main computer core." In the dormitory section, 12-year-old Tim sat cross-legged on his bed, a modified tablet hidden under his blanket. His fingers flew across the screen as he spoke quietly into a makeshift communicator made from spare parts. "Kate, I'm in their systems. You were right. They never thought to block access from the children's learning tablets. They thought we were just playing educational games." From another part of the facility, Kate's voice came through clearly. "Good work. Is everyone in position?" "All 300 of us. The younger kids are ready with the distractions, and the older ones have mapped every exit route. We've been practicing for weeks during our free play time." The head mentor watched in growing horror as more systems fell under the children's control. Doors that should have been locked slid open. Security cameras switched to pre-recorded loops. Even the gravity in some sections began to fluctuate. "How?" he demanded. "How did they do this?" His chief scientist looked at the data in amazement. "Sir, remember why we chose human children in the first place. Their adaptability, their problem-solving skills. We've been pushing them to develop these abilities further with every test. We created the perfect conditions for them to evolve these skills, and they turned our own methods against us." Through the facility's windows, bright lights suddenly appeared in the sky. Earth Defense Fleet ships dropped out of stealth mode, surrounding the station. The head mentor's communication panel crackled to life with a message from Captain Smith. "This is Earth Defense Fleet. We are here for our children. Your facility is now under our control, thanks largely to the extraordinary work of those same children you thought you could imprison and study." The head mentor sank into his chair as he realized the full truth. Every test, every challenge, every problem they had presented to study human adaptability had only made the children stronger, smarter, more resourceful. They hadn't been running an experiment. They had been training their own opposition. In the main hall, Kate stood up on a table, addressing the gathered children. "Everyone remember the plan. Younger kids with older buddies, stay in your groups. Earth's coming for us, but we're not just waiting to be rescued. We're taking this place apart ourselves." A cheer went up from the crowd of children, their voices echoing through the halls of the facility that had been their prison. They had turned the mentor's research facility into their training ground. And now it was time to show the galaxy exactly what human children were capable of. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council erupted in chaos. 200 representatives from different alien species all tried to speak at once, their voices mixing into a storm of different languages as the automatic translators struggled to keep up. At the center of the chamber, Earth's Ambassador Thomas Gray stood calmly, waiting for order to return. The council leader, a tall being with crystalline skin, struck his staff against the floor 3 times. The sound echoed through the chamber, bringing silence. "Order. We will have order," he demanded. "Ambassador Gray, please continue with your evidence." Gray nodded, gesturing to the holographic display floating above the council floor. Images from the Stellar Academy appeared. Children in testing chambers, secret research logs, and security footage of the mentor's experiments. 300 children, Gray said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. 300 human children, taken from our colonies through fake educational programs, subjected to tests, studied like lab animals, all without Earth's knowledge or consent. The mentor representative, still wearing his white science coat, stood up. "This is a misunderstanding. Our research was vital for understanding human potential. We followed all proper scientific protocols." Protocols. Gray's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. You imprisoned children. The youngest was 8 years old. New images appeared in the hologram. The sleep pods with their monitoring equipment, the gravity manipulation tests, the stress experiments. Several council members turned away, unable to watch. The children were well cared for, the mentor protested. They received education, food, comfortable quarters. In a prison. Gray slammed his hand on the podium. Let me be very clear about what happens next. Earth demands the immediate release of all human children. We demand full reparations to their families. And we demand that those responsible face justice. The council leader raised his crystalline hand. Ambassador, while these actions are concerning, the Stellar Academy operates under a research charter FAT. A charter that specifically forbids experimentation on sentient beings, interrupted another council member, this one from a species known for their strict ethical codes. Especially children. This is an outrage. The chamber erupted again. Some council members called for immediate sanctions against the mentors. Others worried about the diplomatic implications. A few suggested forming a committee to study the situation further. Gray activated another hologram. This one showed live footage from the Stellar Academy, where Earth Defense Fleet ships now surrounded the facility. While you debate, he said quietly, yet every member could hear him. Earth acts. Our ships are already there. Our children will come home today. The mentor representative jumped up. This is an invasion. An act of war. No. Gray turned to face him directly. This is a rescue mission, and if anyone tries to stop it, then you'll learn exactly why taking human children was the worst mistake your species could have made. The council leader looked troubled. Ambassador Gray, there are proper procedures. With all due respect, Gray interrupted. Earth's patience with procedures ended the moment we discovered our children were being treated like laboratory specimens. The mentors crossed a line. There must be consequences. Suddenly, new information flashed across the chamber screens. Reports from the Stellar Academy showed that the children had taken control of multiple facility systems. They had organized, planned, and acted on their own. It seems, Gray allowed himself a small smile, that the children aren't waiting for our debates either. They've already begun their own liberation. The council chamber fell silent as they watched the events unfold. The mentor representative sank back into his seat, finally understanding the magnitude of their miscalculation. They had wanted to study human adaptability and resourcefulness. Instead, they had provoked humanity's most protective instinct and unleashed the very capabilities they had sought to understand. The diplomatic crisis had reached its breaking point. Now, the galaxy would witness firsthand why humanity had survived and thrived among the stars, and why no one should ever threaten their children. Commander Jones watched through the viewport as his fleet of rescue ships took position around the Stellar Academy. The massive facility hung against the backdrop of stars, its white walls now looking more like a prison than a school. On his tactical display, 30 Earth ships formed a perfect circle around the station. All teams in position, his tactical officer reported. Special forces ready for deployment. Jones nodded, but before he could give the order, his communication officer called out, "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from inside the facility. It's from the children." A young girl's voice came through the speakers. "Earth Fleet, this is Kate. We have control of most facility systems. We can help coordinate the rescue from inside." Jones leaned forward in his chair. "This is Commander Jones. Kate, how did you manage to contact us?" "We modified our learning tablets," she explained. "The mentors thought we were just doing homework, but we were learning their technology instead. We have a plan, sir." A smile spread across Jones's face. While the adults had been planning a rescue, the children had been planning their own escape. "Tell me about this plan of yours, Kate." "We've mapped all security systems. Tim has control of their computers. We've organized everyone into groups, with older kids protecting younger ones. We just need you to keep the mentors busy while we move." Jones looked at his tactical display, where hundreds of small dots represented the human children spread throughout the facility. They weren't just hostages waiting for rescue. They were active participants in their own liberation. "Special Forces teams, new orders," Jones announced. "The children have inside control. We're switching to Plan B, supporting their escape rather than leading it." The rescue operation began. On the lower levels, Special Forces teams breached the facility's outer doors, drawing the mentors' security forces into defensive positions. But this was just a distraction. Above them, children began moving in organized groups through the corridors. Older students led younger ones through maintenance tunnels and emergency routes they had discovered during their playtime. When security barriers activated, Tim's hacked systems shut them down. "Section 3 clear," Kate's voice reported. 50 children moving to Extraction Point Alpha. The mentors' security forces found themselves facing an impossible situation. Every time they responded to one breach, another would appear elsewhere. Doors would lock behind them, trapping them away from their targets. Gravity would suddenly shift, sending them floating helplessly, while groups of children passed safely through magnetically shielded corridors. "They're using our own systems against us," the head of security shouted. "How do they know our protocol so well?" In the main control room, Tim worked furiously at his modified tablet. "Kate, I've locked down the central research wing. All the mentors are trapped inside their own laboratories." "Good work," Kate replied. "Commander Jones, we're ready for the next phase." Jones watched in amazement as his tactical display showed the children's organized movement. They weren't panicking or running blindly. They were executing a carefully planned evacuation, better organized than many adult operations he'd seen. "Earth Fleet, begin docking procedures," he ordered. "Let's bring our children home." The rescue ships moved into position, extending their docking tubes to connect with the facility's airlocks. Inside, the children moved in perfect order, helping each other, making sure no one was left behind. 200 children evacuated. The count began. 250, 300, all children accounted for. As the last group boarded the rescue ships, Kate transmitted one final message to the facility's internal speakers, making sure the mentors could hear. "Thank you for the education. We learned more than you intended." Commander Jones looked at his tactical display, now showing all 300 children safely aboard Earth vessels. The mentors had wanted to study human adaptability. Instead, they had witnessed it firsthand, not just from Earth's military, but from the very children they had underestimated. The head mentor stared at his control screens in disbelief as his perfect research facility fell apart around him. Emergency lights flashed through the corridors while alarms blared in 3 different frequencies. But it wasn't Earth's military causing the chaos. It was the children. "Sir," his security chief's panicked voice came through the communicator. "The human children, they're not just escaping. They're taking everything." "What do you mean, everything?" the head mentor demanded. "Our research data, our technology specs, our security protocols. They're downloading it all. They've been studying our systems for months while we thought we were studying them." In the facility's main data center, Tim sat surrounded by modified learning tablets, each one pulling different information from the mentor's databases. Next to him, Kate coordinated the final phase of their plan through a makeshift command center they'd built in an abandoned storage room. "Teams 1 through 5, report status," Kate called out. "Team 1, all young kids are safe on Earth ships. Team 2, we've downloaded their entire research database. Team 3, security systems are completely under our control. Team 4, we've locked all mentors in their quarters. Team 5, heading to final extraction point now." The head mentor watched helplessly as his security feeds showed children not running in panic, but moving with military precision. They had turned his carefully controlled experiment into their own training ground. "How?" he whispered. "They were just test subjects. His chief scientist, who had been analyzing the children's actions, looked up from his datapad. "No, sir. We were the test subjects. Every experiment we ran taught them something about us. Every test we designed showed them our thinking patterns. They turned our whole facility into their classroom." In the corridor outside the main laboratory, a group of older children led by Tom moved quickly, carrying boxes of equipment. They weren't just escaping. They were taking samples of the mentor's technology with them. "Make sure to grab their gravity control modules," Tom called out. "Earth's scientists will want to study these." The head mentor finally snapped. He rushed to the central announcement system, pressing the emergency broadcast button. "This is outrageous. We gave you education. We gave you opportunities. We advanced your species." Kate's calm voice replied through the same system. "No, you gave us a reason to show you who we really are. Humans don't just adapt. We overcome. Even your children." Suddenly, all the screens in the facility change, showing the same message. Test complete. Subject species. Mentors. Result. Failed to understand basic human nature. The head mentor's legs gave out, and he sank into his chair. They had spent years studying human adaptability, but they had missed something fundamental. They hadn't just collected human test subjects. They had gathered Earth's next generation of scientists, engineers, and leaders. In Earth's rescue ships, Captain Smith watched the tactical display as the last groups of children made their way out of the facility. But they weren't coming out empty-handed. Each group carried data, technology, and research materials, everything they had learned during their captivity. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "you need to see this." The children didn't just escape. They downloaded the mentor's entire database of advanced technology. They learned their captor's science while pretending to be test subjects. Smith allowed himself a proud smile. The mentors had wanted to study human adaptability. Instead, they had become an unwitting part of humanity's greatest learning opportunity. Their prison had become a school, their experiments had become lessons, and their test subjects had become the teachers of tomorrow. The breaking point hadn't come from Earth's military might. It had come from the incredible ability of human children to turn any situation, even captivity, into an opportunity to grow stronger. 1 month after the rescue, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different. The mentors' seats stood empty, their voting rights suspended. In their place, a group of human children stood at the speaker's podium, facing the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. Kate stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "Members of the Council, you've read our report. The mentors didn't just imprison us. They gave us access to advanced technology, thinking we were too young to understand it. They were wrong." The council leader leaned forward. "Young one, our analysts have reviewed the data you brought back. The technological advances you gathered, they're beyond what many worlds have achieved in centuries." Tim joined Kate at the podium, holding up one of their modified learning tablets. "We didn't just escape," he explained. "We learned. Every test they ran, every system they exposed us to, we studied it all. Not because they forced us, but because that's what humans do. We adapt. We learn. We grow stronger." In the audience, Captain Smith and Commander Jones sat with Ambassador Gray, watching proudly as the children delivered their testimony. The rescue hadn't just saved lives. It had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The Stellar Academy incident, the council leader announced, has led to immediate changes in our laws. No species may conduct research on sentient beings without explicit consent. The punishment for experimenting on children is now immediate expulsion from the Galactic Council. The head mentor and his chief scientists sat in a detention center, watching the proceedings on a screen. Their faces showed the final understanding of their mistake. They had wanted to study human adaptability, but had instead demonstrated it to the entire galaxy. Back on Earth, the president addressed a global audience. "Today, we announce the establishment of the Human Innovation Institute, led by the very children who turned their captivity into an opportunity. Their experience will help protect future generations and advance our understanding of the galaxy. In the Institute's main hall, hundreds of screens display the alien technology the children had brought back. Young scientists, some still in their teens, worked alongside Earth's top researchers, explaining the principles they had learned during their imprisonment. The mentors thought they were testing us. Tom explained to a group of visiting scientists, but we were documenting everything. Every test showed us how their technology worked. Every experiment revealed their scientific principles. We just had to pretend we didn't understand. The Galactic Council's final judgment was unanimous. The mentors faced severe sanctions, their research facilities were shut down, and they were required to pay massive reparations to the human families. But the greatest punishment was the knowledge that their actions had accelerated human advancement by decades. Kate stood in the new Institute's observatory, looking up at the stars. They thought they were studying human children, she said to Captain Smith, who had come to visit. But they forgot something important about us. What's that? Smith asked. Children are better at learning than adults are at teaching. Every time they tried to test us, we learned more about them than they learned about us. The story of the Stellar Academy became a legend across the galaxy. Species that had once viewed humanity as young and inexperienced now approached Earth with caution and respect. The message was clear: underestimate humans at your own risk, and never, ever underestimate their children. As the Institute grew, its motto was displayed prominently at the entrance, written in both human and galactic standard languages. From adversity comes advancement. From challenge comes change. From the stars came a test, and humanity's children passed it with honors. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity wasn't just another species to be studied. They were a force that grew stronger with every challenge. And their children didn't need rescuing. They just needed the opportunity to show what humans do best: adapt, overcome, and emerge stronger than ever.